Hello guys, welcome to a guide on the Expedition Event 1 or Volume 1. This is telling the last day to finish the event, so I'm a little late on this, but I figured it'd be a good opportunity to go through the harder missions in this event and also explain some tips in expedition mode and also discuss team building and maybe address other questions that people have in the game. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to put all this stuff together in this guide. Now for the guide, I'm going to go through missions 7 to 10 because I think 1 through 6 are rather easy to complete, but if you do have questions on those, even though this is the last day, still leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them. Now, one quick disclaimer, I did decide to purchase both passes for one of my accounts. So if you see my rank is kind of higher or I have a really good team, that's the reason why. I don't think you can beat this free to play unless you got really lucky on your rolls. But even then, the passes give you just so many amazing resources that I just don't know if you could beat this without free to play. And even if you are free to play, it doesn't matter. You can still play the easy expedition mode and get enough medals to buy stuff in the store. And even if you are free to play, I still recommend watching this video because I'm going to go through certain tips that you can use in the easier expedition levels and basic team building stuff that will apply to all areas of the game. So with that in mind, let's get started. Okay, so here is Stage 7. Stage 7 is not too bad, but there are some annoying parts about it. So I put Jeremiah out there to get some costs going. I put Geass out here to get more costs going, and also she reduces the cost to deploy. Toto, you could also use Guilford, but I thought that cost reduction was worth it. Cornelia's out to start because I figured with a powerful attacker, she could take out all these Nightmare Frames really quickly, plus boost the attack of any Nightmare Frame pilots deployed. Of course, there aren't any, but Toto, there he is. I put him out with Nagisa. Pretty good combination with boyfriend, girlfriend. Well, they're not actually dating at this point in the series, but Nagisa wishes they were, of course. So we have Cornelia taking out the enemies over there, and things are going fairly well. Toto's blocking as he always does. That's why I use him for the blocks. Now, when it comes to expedition mode, it doesn't really matter how many enemies reach your blue zone, so don't worry about that if 1 or 2 reach that spot. In fact, that's what's going to happen in these missions. I guess missions, gameplay review, whatever you want to call it. This is totally fine, doesn't matter. So Nagisa there, she's being put into work to try to block somebody. I have her in the Night Police because it has more blocks than the Glasgow, but it doesn't really matter. She's not out there to actually fight. She's there to boost the cost and lower the cost as well. I put Lelouch out earlier, as you saw, and he stunned all the enemies in range. That's why he's so powerful, because it's not like one of those effects where it only targets 3 or 2 or whatever. It's everyone in range. So I put him out there to stun every single person, which helps out a lot. He's just really useful. Plus, he's got a fast relocation time. I'm going to use Lucia's special here in a second because it's really powerful with the Borai Diesel. Very good Nightmare Frame. Don't forget to get it in the Chapter 4 event pickup. So Cornelia is taking out some more Gloucesters. Actually, that's a Sarlin, I believe. I don't use her special often in these missions as much as I should because it could actually help me out in more ways than one because it would boost the attack power of the Britannian forces. But for some reason, I just don't use it as much as I should. There we go. 1 enemy got past. 2 enemies got past because the Gloucester, for all its power, it only has a really powerful block of 0. So if I don't have Cornelia's special spamming, if I'm not spamming it, that's what's going to happen often. But anyway, at least that's taken care of. I put Colin facing our direction so she can focus on the enemies going that way, and her special can target them as well. I said before that like where you place Nightmare Frames is super important because of the location of the range of their skill or the direction of their skill. So she's taking the ones down there, and I figured that makes sense because Cornelia takes out the ones in front of her. So you got this really nice combination going. Toto's doing his thing. He's just blocking. I'm going to eventually put Valletta in there at some point, but I was a little hesitant early on because obviously if she takes damage, that's not good. But in expedition mode, it's even worse because any damage a pilot takes, it will transfer over to the next mission. So you want to be careful that you don't put out pilots too early without a healer because they could get killed in the next battlefield really quickly. By the way, the Nightmare Frame skill also will transfer over from one mission to another, so keep that in mind. And here you see I have Cornelia. She's just doing her thing to get more enemies and also boosting the attack power of Valletta, which is pretty good. And now she's going to mop up the rest of them here, I believe, and that's the end of this mission. So pretty straightforward. The key part about this was really the placements of Colin and Toto blocking accordingly, and then waiting a little bit later to place Valletta, because if you put her out too early, or someone like Valletta, maybe Minami or Kjol, they could get taken out, and you don't want that. So that's the end of Stage 7. Now we're going on to Stage 8. 8 was not that bad. By the way, I think I used a different combination for this mission, or maybe it was 9. Yeah, it was 9, not 8. Now you saw there, I looked at the map for a couple seconds. It's actually longer than that, but I cut it out for time's sake, of course. But always important to study the map before you decide what team to put together, because the map determines pretty much everything, where your units are going to be placed, and also which units to use in the first place. So I have Suzaku and Guilford. Something weird happened, and I don't show the footage here, but I kept putting Suzaku by Guilford, so I restarted this mission like 4 or 5 times with bullcrap. The game again is really glitchy. So I put Guilford and Suzaku early on to be cost increasers, give me some presence. I used Guilford over Geass here because I figured with Cornelia behind him, she would boost his attack power. And he also, if he kills anyone, it will boost my cost. I figure, hey, not a bad combination. And with Cornelia using her special abilities, it also will help out. I'll say hurt, no, it will help out Suzaku, which is pretty good. So basically, I'm just kind of doing that for this part here. Also, I try to have Suzaku use a special ability on 2 pilots at once. If you can, wait a couple seconds so more enemies get in range, just to make it more useful. It's not always possible to do because your pilot might get killed or the timing has to be at that moment, but if you can, go for it. I brought in Millie here to heal all my units because she's got a really high attack, reduces the cost of Britannia forces, and of course, raises her attack power. Really good stuff, and she has, like I said, really high attack for any healer. So I got Jeremiah out there, and I put Colin first, and then Guilford. Originally, not Guilford, Toto. I get those confused sometimes. They look nothing alike, but the roles in the story are kind of similar. Anyways, I put Colin out, then Toto, because Colin has more attack power. She'll kill most of the enemies, but if Toto, or I should say, if any of them get past Colin, then Toto will take them out. That's why I decided to go that route. Zako again doing his thing. He's staying alive, even though it's really hard for him. He doesn't have much health, but Millie's there to help out, which is great. And sorry about that. I didn't put out Valletta yet because I want to make sure that all the enemies in the second section where Zaku is are all dead first. Also notice I only have 1 spot left. So I was like, should I put out Valletta? Should I not put out Valletta? I'm like, I'm not going to, because instead I decided to put out Naomi to heal all the units in that section. So I have Millie covering the top corner. I'm going to have Naomi cover the bottom section where Colin and Toto are. And that's very important too. Obviously, healers are super important in Expedition mode because, like I said before, the damage will transfer over. So keep that in mind. You definitely need several healers in this. I'd say at least 1 or 2, probably 2. So there is Naomi. I'm putting her into the battle. And while her attack power is kind of low, she does have an ability which will actually heal 1 pilot in addition to her normal healing abilities, which is why Colin goes from near dead to like almost alive. I mean, not almost full health, rather. You'll see in a second, which is really useful. I think her special ability is activating here because she went below 50%. Another reason why I like Colin, because of that reason. Yeah, there it is right there. She went up really high in health. Zaku is almost done mobbing up the enemies over here, and once he's done, I can bring in Valletta to finish the job. Although, oddly enough, I don't know if I even needed her, but hey, why not? So Colin's using the Borite, by the way. I chose that one over the Lancelot. I think Zaku's better off with it. And the Borite boosts her skills. I figured, why the heck not? That's what's going on over there. Zaku again taking out more enemies, doing his thing. I should have used Cornelia Special more often because it would have made this a little easier, boosting Guilford and Zaku's ability throughout instead of like not using it. Sometimes in this game you get a little lazy because you're killing the enemies really easily, so why use the specials? But they do have secondary abilities, so you should take advantage of that. Zaku going again, 2 more enemies and they're dead. Well, actually 1 is. The Night Police have like a really BS health. In that case, I couldn't use a special because the enemy died too quickly. Use Valletta to spam her skill over there with Sarlin. Pretty good combination because, again, she has really high attack power. So things are going fairly well. I believe that's the last Gloucester that Zaku is dealing with. Colin using her special again. And Toto's doing a good job just defending the area. Yeah, that's the last one. Zaku's about to finish him off. Although it took forever, I was thinking to myself, come on, kill him already. I want to put Valletta out to the battlefield to finish off the other enemies. But it was taking so long with the spin move. I didn't want to go too fast because maybe something might happen. I tend to play 0.5 most of the time because in situations like this, timing is super important. I don't want to speed through something and get a pilot killed or enemies get past me, things like that. But it's all good. I put Valletta out there, and again, as you see, we didn't really need her, but hey, it never hurts. She's just taking out the enemies that are right by Colin. One thing also you should know, I had all the enemies, not enemies, but I had Colin in a certain position, so the enemies would all get in one location. That's another thing you can do as well. Do 300 tactics, get all the enemies to go in one area, and then kill them all with like some from a far distance. Well, it's not entirely 300 tactics, but the idea is like you have them all go into one little area. a cramped area rather, and so you can just kind of it becomes a one-on-one battle. That's why it's really easy. That's why it's really good to do that. A little stuttering there, but hopefully you guys understand that. Anyhow, that's done with. Pretty straightforward. 8's not too bad. 9 was also not that bad either. One key thing I had to do, you won't see in this first team, I forgot to make the sub, but I replaced Naomi with Shirley, because if you notice on a battlefield, there aren't a lot of ranged spots, so I needed a ground healer. And as I said in my guide, Shirley has really high melee and range attack for a healer, so I figured that made more sense to use her here. Plus, melee reduced her cost. So you see all the faction elements are working together here. So we got Guilford and Zaku, cost boosters, doing their thing. Eventually they'll increase it well enough or high enough so I can get Valletta out there. Really good because she of course takes out airships with one of her special abilities. Now in there that was kind of rough, good timing. Sometimes that happens where both enemies are in range for your special. Not always, but when it does, take advantage of it. So I just have Valletta, she shot at the Night Police over there. Sometimes you get lucky with that, sometimes you don't. Guilford was so close to taking out the enemy, but he of course failed. Not his fault, but hey, it happens. So he's doing his best to boost my cost. I put out Jeremiah to get Cornelia out. I could have put out Cornelia without Jeremiah, but the idea here is you want to get the cost increaser out first and then deploy the heavy units, especially if you have a couple seconds, which I did there. Sometimes you don't and you won't have that luxury, but here I did, of course. Zaku doing his best to take out the Night Police, not doing the best job though. Then I put in Shirley to do some healing. I was debating between putting out Shirley and then Lelouch, but I figured Shirley makes more sense. With Lelouch, I tend to wait till the enemy comes in range and then stun them with his power, so I get a little benefit on deploying him. And there you go, that's what I'm doing right there. Unfortunately, you see here that Lelouch is having a problem taking out the enemy airships because attack power is not quite high enough. As you see, that airship is going to get past me, but I'm going to put out Millie in a second to boost the attack power of all Ashford pilots, which helps a lot here. And just like before, they're both in special range, so I get to take them out at once. But going forward, because of Millie, Lelouch will do enough attack power to single-handedly take out each one without a special, as you're going to see in a moment, which is very important. Again, you're seeing the factions working together, and that's the beauty of this game when you get that all working out here. This kind of sucked. I was going to try to take out 2 enemies at once. My timing was off. I only got the Night Police. Not a huge deal, but, you know, a little dead inside after that one. So Zaku takes out the 2 enemies over here. Shirley's keeping him alive. Again, that ground healing is really powerful. And when you consider the fact that she boosts her own attack power, plus Millie boosts her attack power, Zaku's not going to die anytime soon. Plus we have Lelouch, again, backing them up. Cornelia and Guilford are also doing their thing, and Millie's healing them. So this is a pretty powerful and pretty standard formation. Is this the best way to do this? I don't know. I feel like you have to use a ground healer here, but I could be wrong. Who the heck knows? So Lelouch is doing his thing there, taking more enemies. Okay, you will spam a lot of specials, as you see there. The rest of this is pretty straightforward, honestly. Yeah, there we go. Zaku take out 2 enemies at once. Always love getting that done when I can, of course. And I believe that Gloucester is the last one. He almost took out Shirley, but Zaku told him no. So that's the end of Stage 9. This took me about a couple rounds to complete. And some of these missions will take you several rounds to do because you got to see how your pilots will fare on the battlefield. But generally speaking, you do it once or twice to see not only like how hard it is, but where the enemies are coming from and which one starts first. Sometimes when I say which one starts first, I mean like where's the first spawn spot for an enemy. Oftentimes I'll play a mission, I'll play the first couple seconds of it to see where the first enemy lies, then quit and restart, because that way I know where to put the enemy or put my pilots to intercept the enemy. In this case, I didn't do that actually. It was my first run of it, and I actually did a really solid job. And one of the things I did to prepare was I hit the routes button here and just thought it through, like where the enemies are going to come from and what would make the most sense to take them out. So don't like neglect the routes option or that first map you saw before you decide to play the mission. So as you see here, I hit the routes, I thought about it. Now ultimately, I went through a similar type of thing. I put Guilford and then Zaku out to boost my cost, give me some field presence, which is usually a pretty solid strategy. So I'm going to put Zaku out in just a moment. There you go. Again, this game is kind of glitchy at times. Thank God it didn't crash at all when I was doing this. The game crashes all the time. It's really irritating. Again, hit the routes button just to be sure I know what I'm doing. I was going to put out Millie, but I realized a little premature, so I instead put out Valletta. And there you go. Her sniper is in effect. And once again, we're going to get a twofer in a second. And there we go. The twofer. Really great stuff. Valletta in this weapon, the Dalton's Gloucester, or the Varus cannon, especially Death on legs. I mean, I'm not sure which one's better for Valletta. I guess technically the Varus cannon does way more damage, like infinitely more, but Dalton's Gloucester has certain utilities like this, which the Lancelot just doesn't do well in. Although I will say, if I had an army of Lancelots with the Varus cannon, I'd probably use over Dalton's Gloucester. But I don't know, this is pretty cool. Take out 2 enemies at once, or potentially 5. Doesn't come up in any of these maps, but it can. So here I put out Cornelia to boost everyone's attack power, Millie to do some more healing, and then I realized that Suzaku almost died, so I put out Shirley in the ground unit again in the Glasgow, which actually came up in a way I did not expect it to. I kind of forgot about it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That actually does something. So that was kind of cool. Those moments are also fun in this game. So Shirley's healing Suzaku over there. Cornelia's taking out the enemy. That was a lot of damage. It was like 13,000. That was pretty crazy. So it hits Shirley, and I thought, oh no, Shirley's going to die. But I realized that Glasgow has enough range to take out enemies several distance away. Well, skill does. And between her and Suzaku, they take out that Gloucester over there. Meanwhile, Guilford and Cornelia are doing their thing. Colin will appear later on. We'll get to that in a moment. So we have Guilford doing his thing. He actually took out an enemy, which boosts the cost. Although I didn't see it happen over there, so I'm not sure why that was the case. Anyways, I put out Lelouch, stunning as always. That was a double entendre, unintentional double entendre. He's again going to spam the special in a moment to take out 2. He could take out 3 with the Borai Diesel, but I chose to take out 2. Actually, only 1 because that stupid Night Police wouldn't go down, but still, pretty good stuff. And here, sometimes in the game, they'll give you like these pauses between, I guess, waves of enemies. And this is where you can increase your cost, maybe heal your units, something like that, or prepare for the next round. So in this case, you see I removed Suzaku, and I put out Colin. Don't neglect these moments in a battle where there's a huge space, or I guess you say pause. Take advantage of them. The game obviously knows these are hard maps. And so they figure, hey, let me give you a quick pause, a little break in between, and take advantage of that by swapping out pilots, maybe putting on a healer, so stuff of that nature. You'll see it all the time in the battles. It's a pretty good way to, I guess, help out the person not get too overwhelmed. One of the problems with this game is that oftentimes there's so much happening on screen. It's very easy to get confused where you are because you're basically monitoring potentially, 8 to 10 pilots at possibility. 8 to 10 pilots. I'm not sure why I said it like that. So because you're managing so many different areas, it's very possible to forget about stuff. So those pauses are really useful. And also, don't be afraid to pause in general while playing the game. I do it all the time. I don't do much here because it wasn't too difficult, but sometimes I'll actually pause and think about what I'm doing, either withdraw, use a special, or something of that nature. Here, things were not that complicated. Again, I was very surprised because I thought this would be much harder than it actually was. And it's not because I'm wailing that it was so easy. It's just because I had the right positionings available. Maybe it's experience playing the Japanese version. I don't know. But it really wasn't that bad. Colin is doing a good job defending Shirley from attackers. Valletta's taking enemies from the distance. I mean, all just seemed to work out pretty well. There I kind of screwed up. I only got 1 enemy instead of 2, but not the end of the world. I believe the enemy's going to get past Shirley because she has no block, which is totally fine. Again, it doesn't matter if 1 or 2 get by. Just don't make sure that 8 obviously don't, or whatever the number is. So Cornelia right there, but I'll say Colin. Cornelia takes out the enemy, boosts everyone's attack power. And at this point, I don't think we face any problems on this team. Guilford is like the man. He should have died several times during this, but he doesn't. And I'm actually really impressed by that. I figured he'd be killed at some point. And that's another thing, too. If it's the last mission of Expedition Mode, don't worry about it if the pilot gets killed if it helps you win the battle. And oftentimes in later missions, you'll have to do that anyways when the boss happens that forces a certain conflict. So don't worry about it if your pilot's about to die. I was thinking the whole time, if Guilford dies, like that part from Rocky 4. If he dies, he dies. I don't care because I'll just put Saku in there. It's the last mission. It doesn't matter at that point. You can beat it with, 7 enemies reach your spot and only 1 pilot's left alive, or you can beat it flawlessly. It doesn't matter. As you see here, was this the best way to defeat the challenge? Probably not. It was a little sloppy, but that's to show you that you don't have to be perfect to complete these missions. All you have to do is kill enough enemies so they don't reach your spots, and then you're done. That's all there is to it. So that's stage 10, pretty straightforward. This whole event was not that bad. If you are willing, it shouldn't be too difficult. Free to play, I don't know if it's possible to do it, but maybe if you guys do accomplish that, let me know, obviously in the comment section below. And there you go. If you have any other questions about what you saw here or things about Expedition Mode, the game, etc., let me know in the comment section below. If you are curious, I did a tier list for the nightmare frames and the pilots in the game, and you can watch those videos right here.